Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
ABQ ER and Hospital is changing the way you see ER in Albuquerque. We promise to see each patient within 10 minutes of arrival. ABQ ER and Hospital is now offering $25 school physicals with 100% of proceeds donated back to the schools.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
Ah!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Good morning, welcome to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with my good friend, ProView color analyst, Roger Holian, also writing for the Mountain West Wire. You know, it's Lobo Aggie Week. Roger, thanks again for joining us, by the way. You know, it's we talked after our game Saturday. We weren't even able to watch the Lobos because we had La Cueva Cibola, and we'll talk about that in the next segment. You know, we didn't get a chance to really watch the Lobos, but we're trying to watch. You know, we're both Lobo fans.
Yep.
It killed us that we couldn't see the game, but we're seeing a play-by-play. You had a description. So it's Lobo Aggie Week. You know, and somebody wrote this morning that it's not the same rivalry anymore. I disagree. When the Lobos play the Aggies in anything, I still get stoked for it.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I tell you what, the Lobos and the Aggies, whenever they get together, it's outstanding. There's always dynamics. There's always things that go on the field, and it's kind of like your little brother. You're playing your big brother up the street a little bit, and that's the way the Aggies look at it. You know, this is a printout from the Aggie newsletter that I thought was very appropriate. Rivalry Week is here. New Mexico State clashes with its in-state foe, New Mexico, at 2:30 Mountain Standard Time Saturday at Dreamstyle. The contest will be broadcast on AT&T Sports Network, and with Brant Thompson and Sad Bonner doing play-by-play. Bragging rights are on the line when the two programs meet for the 110th time. The Lobos hold a 71-33-5 all-time series advantage of the Aggies, including 40-14-3 advantage on their home turf. New Mexico State has maintained the upper hand since 2016, however, winning 2 of the previous 3 matchups. Of course, the Lobos won last year,
right,
45-25. And whenever you get these two programs together, there's a good hate, if you will. They fight, and New Mexico State, it's kind of like they scratch and claw. They want to beat the Lobos so bad. And this was always an issue when Rocky Long put teams on. Sometimes you hope that our team didn't realize how badly they want to beat you. I mean, forget Alabama, forget Notre Dame. It's two programs vying for favorability, if you will, in the state, in the program. So it's always exciting to watch. I'll be there, you'll be there, and I really encourage our fans to go out and support our Lobos. Throughout Notre Dame and Alabama, those are high-profile programs, top-notch blue-chip players. I don't think the Lobos have many 3-star athletes. So when you get that type of, you know, they got $1.8 million. That's a good thing, and you're hoping that nobody got hurt, which from my understanding, they didn't. So the Lobos start 1-1. They're still 3rd or 4th in the Mountain West right now.
Right, and there's some scores around the Mountain West. We'll get to those in a little bit, but I think you laid out the case very well. New Mexico State head coach Doug Martin was on with Jeff and JJ on the opening drive this morning. By the way, streamed every day on ProView Networks, Comcast, Channel 26. That's been going very well. And I heard Coach Martin, they need a win, right? They're 0-3. They lost to San Diego State. Jordan Byrd had over 100 yards rushing. Keyshawn Banks, 2 sacks. The former Rio Rancho defensive lineman, he had a big game as well. And Rocky Long said this in the paper. He's been coaching at San Diego State for 9 years now.
Yep, 9 years. He's like 75 and 30 something.
So he's a New Mexican though. He loves New Mexico. He wouldn't even stay. He wouldn't stay there, right? He had his choice in whether to stay at a hotel recently, and he made sure it wasn't.
It's interesting because whenever we played
in Las Cruces, he wouldn't stay there.
Yeah,
go ahead.
For all the fans, I used to be the team chaplain for about 13 years, so I got to travel. I think 250,000 miles with the team. Did pregame chapels, and Rocky has been a great friend. I text him actually congratulating, which I do all the time when he wins. I congratulate him. If he doesn't, I don't say nothing.
Right.
But he said thanks. It's always a good thing to beat an Aggie, and so you can always hear it. Of course, he played for New Mexico back in the 70s. And it's just interesting. Whenever you get these programs together, you can throw out all the numbers. There's a lot of fanfare, a lot of dynamics. I'm just hoping a lot of the fans, the Lobo fans, actually step up and come out and support this Lobo program. These athletes work too darn hard. They work so hard, and to get a filled stadium would be a dream for them. And you and I have both been there at University Stadium when the stadium was jam-packed.
Yes.
And it's loud, and they feed off the momentum, and it's a game of momentum. But I'm looking forward to this game. I'm hoping, of course, obviously, I'm a Lobo fan, but there's a lot of Aggie fans out there, and they feel just as strongly as I do about the Lobos.
Well, sure they do. And I remember, and people don't believe me, they did have 44,000 out there at one time for New Mexico State and UNM. I was at that game. I had to park way out there by the baseball field, which is no problem. I love the Lobos. I'm going to be there. Now, this Saturday, I'm at Silver City covering Western New Mexico, so I can't be there. And I hate missing the Lobo Aggie games. I hate it because I definitely would have been there. My son and I don't miss those games. I would have been. And I think the other thing is this. You mentioned fans come out. Jeff and JJ said that on the opening drive this morning. You can buy tickets. The ticket office is open 8 to 5. A lot of people want to wait till the day of the game. This game here, I wouldn't. Now again, I know they only had 13,000. It was a hot day, 97 degrees. Supposedly 75, 78 degrees this Saturday, which is pretty perfect football weather here in the land of enchantment.
Yeah.
So I'd expect 28, 30,000. I really would.
Yeah. Well,
I hope anyway.
It's interesting because I was watching JJ Buck and Marietta this morning on the morning show that, of course, ProView is doing, and Rudy Chavez called in. And Rudy's a diehard fan, and he's a guy that just is constantly beating the Lobo drum, if you will. But he made a couple of points that were very valid. He said, you take away the interceptions that the Lobos had against Notre Dame. They had INTs. Of course, Sharon Jones was the starting quarterback, and you take away 2 or 3 of those scores, and you've got a decent score. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been as lopsided, but the Lobos more than likely still would have lost, but not as great of a, the outcome.
Not the biggest margin.
Yeah, not the biggest margin. But this, and I knew going into the season with new coordinator, Joe Daly, offensive coordinator, great guy from Liberty, and this guy knows football, played there, been there, done that, played for Nebraska, played 2 years there as the option, he's played the West Coast offense. This guy knows offense. And then, of course, the defensive coordinator, Jordan Peterson. You can't have a new coordinator and new defensive coordinator and put 17 junior college players in a program and expect that it's going to, bam, just going to click. It's going to take time for this Lobo program to learn the 3-3-5, the aggressive defense that he's putting out there. There's a lot of players. They lose Aaron Blackwell, their nose guard. And in my opinion, Aaron Blackwell would have been first-team All-Mountain West.
Probably a draft choice too, right?
I believe he's got the body to go to the next level. He's a beast. And you saw that. He gave opposing teams, big teams, fits on the nose guard. He's lining up 0 technique or 1 technique, 3 technique, outside shade of the center. But that was a big loss. But I think this week you'll see all the pieces starting to fall into place. I'm hoping that This will be a great game. Of course, I don't know if Coach Davies going to be out. I
He will not accompany the team. He'll be back, he said, hopefully next week against Liberty. He has to have one more checkup. So it'll be Saga Tuatelli again, the interim coach. Go ahead.
And that was a big relief that Coach Davies doing great. And I text Brian Despain, his son-in-law, who's at Arizona now, that a lot of prayers from the Lobo Nation going up for Coach Davey. That could have been very tragic, and thank God that he's on the mend. And I think the Lobo program, it's early in the season, guys. There's a lot of teams. I was looking at the schedules, and the Lobos can do some damage. If they can pull out a few wins here and there, they could be in bowl contention. It's just a matter of putting it all together, being on the same page. But I do know that Coach Davey has some fantastic coordinators. These coaches are excellent. And, I've said it for years. I used to coach in high school. You show me a great coach and a bad coach. A bad coach can take great players and make them mediocre. A great coach can take mediocre players and make them great, and at least compete. And you see that. And so this week's Saturday game, I encourage everybody to get out. I think it'll be a fun thing to watch, and we'll see who prevails.
I think it always is, and I remember a couple of years ago, gosh, the Aggies took it to us here at Dreamstyle. Gosh, we're both Lobo guys, right? And we love the crimson and white too, right? Yeah. But I remember when I growing up, and my brother's imaginary games and I in the backyard were always against Aggies, Jimmy Collins, Sam Lacey, right? Oh, my brother, he remembers this. He's 5 years older than me. But I'd cry when the Lobos lost, but I would doubly cry if they lost to the Aggies. Yeah. So my brother, so for me, and I have a lot of Aggie friends that watch, and much love to them, but yeah, that still burns to me, right? We had, when we were at Highland, Sandia, I hated losing to Sandia. I hated losing to them and to Albuquerque High.
Yes.
I couldn't stand losing to them. And and you hear about it, right? If you lost to the Dogs, Albuquerque High, you'd hear it in the community. As soon as you go to the store, hey,
you
man.
still hear about it when you're really tough. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I got to tell you, I'm going to give Rocky Long away a little bit here. We used to have there was a mantra he would come in the locker room, and it was interesting watching him before games. Of course, I'm not in the locker room no more. I'm writing for the Mountain West Star. I'm not their chaplain no more. And but I was in the inner workings. But Rocky was funny because sometimes you either talk to him for games, and he was real friendly, like when we beat Arizona on the road. And there's other times you didn't talk to him. He was real intense. But he used to walk into the locker room, and he would say, "Gentlemen, let's go to work," and clap his hands, and everybody get ready. He wasn't a man of a lot of words, but he would always say when we played the Aggies, "Lobos don't lose to Aggies." And and I think him playing was a big part of that. It's kind of like you playing for Highland versus Sandia. So he took it personal. One of the few times I remember Brian Urlacher actually muffed a punt. And one of the few times we did lose to the Aggies, and Brian had his head down in the locker room, and he was crying, and he was so competitive. And I walked up to him, and I whispered in his ear, "Brian, you didn't lose that game." He felt like he did, but it was a whole series of things. So the Aggies come up. They always have trick plays. They always have something that you're going to see. And I promise you what Lobos are going to see is they're going to see that receiver. What was it? The twice that Notre Dame scored on the Lobos was that receiver going into motion full speed, and it was a direct. I don't know if it was a direct snap to him, but they scored twice on that, and they caught the Lobos off guard. And the Lobos did a great job to that point, but the Aggies will be running that same thing. It's where the receiver's in full motion. The jet sweep. Excuse me.
Right, a variation of that.
Yeah, the Lobos will see the jet sweep.
And I think just hearing Coach Doug Martin from New Mexico State this morning, they're a little bit desperate. They want to win too. So
yeah, they're like a cat in a cat fight. They're scratching for every legitimacy they can. You got to understand they're 0-3. Lobos are 1-1, and this is it for them. And there's a lot of local kids on both teams.
So that makes
Josh Foley,
right? It makes the rivalry. You got to see a little bit of action against Alabama.
Yep.
We'll get to all of that, the offensive and defensive breakdowns, after these messages on the Sports Desk.
It's a sweep. Cutting to the middle of the field in some room. A move at the 20 and all the way. Touchdown.
Cleveland tonight sputtered at times, but neat. When they got it going, just like right there. To the 5, touchdown Cleveland. Down and 10 here. Play action, looking, Throws it out deep, has a man out there. Ball is caught to the 10, to the house, and just like that, the Cleveland Storm answer.
Johnson, and now it's sent back post, and that is dangerous. It's by everyone, and then it's headed in. And so a missed clearance.
They're going to give it. There goes Thompson trying to turn the corner and does. Thompson at the 15, 10, 5. Waiting for the call. Touchdown, Mayfield Trojans. Robertson will push it to Hobart on the far side. Tipped over the double block. Pancaked off the floor beautifully by Gonzalez Sanchez, and we're still going. Here's Hobart. She'll go over the double block. Lucero. Jones will set it. Tough set. Lucero has to get it over. Robertson. She'll push it over the block. Save. The left-handed save there by Lucero. Here's Jones. She'll have a swing. Yes. McIntosh. Excuse me, at the front.
Stepping up in the pocket and moving, and now to the 5 and diving towards the end zone and in.
Hobart. Jones. She'll set Mac for the championship. Yes! 5 in a row. La Cueva is the city's best yet again.
Open guy. There's a big move by Rodriguez. Look out as he's down the sideline. A cut shot out of a cannon. Ivan Rodriguez. He's got all the speed. Can he break away inside the 10 to the 5 and in? Touchdown.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? 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 Dang, this one made me feel all special.
To win the race, I can't even explain how, in fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. No matter where you go, you're an Indy 500 winner. The only way to be successful in racing is to stay on top of the technical edge, and we've done that with our dealership. So a lot of the technology in our service department and sales processes, everything is the very latest. That gives you an edge. That's being competitive in the car business. You can take it any way you want, but that's the truth.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club or DreamstyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Sports Desk, live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with ProView color analyst, also my good friend, also a writer for the Mountain West Wire, Roger Holian. Roger, thanks again for joining us. We're going to go into some, you and I covered La Cueva and Cibola on Saturday. We've also got some other highlights put together by our producer, Alden Iowani. We'll go to those now. And this was Cibola and at La Cueva, and that was Ryan Thomas, I believe, catching that pass. He caught 3 touchdown passes that day. Austin Smith, he's going to score here on the RPO, run pass option, and big hole for Austin Smith.
Yeah, he had a great game.
Watch this move by Elijah Spalding. We froze up a little here. Let's see. Okay, we'll drop that and come back to the highlights there. But La Cueva defeating Cibola 31-10, and let's take a look again.
There you go, inside screen.
That's the inside screen, Ren, and I think we're going to take a look at Austin Smith again on the 2-yard, and look at that big hole there.
Wow,
he just read that so well, and I think this is the move by the throw to Elijah Spalding. Let's take a look at these moves.
Boom.
Spin cycle, almost took it to the house here. He did lay the ball on the ground a little bit later, and this is Chavez rolling to his right, the freshman quarterback. Throws across his body, and that was nearly intercepted by Harder, who the defensive back, Dirk Harder for La Cueva, had a big game. There's that cross buck action, a Slade Campos 7-yard TD run. Now watch this throw by Austin Smith. I think this is to Thomas. And what a catch by the junior wide receiver. He just had a big game that afternoon for La Cueva. A 10-9 game at half.
Yeah, it was a good game.
This is where Thomas fumbles, I believe. He put the ball on the ground, and I believe Cibola followed that up with a fumble of their own. If I remember, there's a huge and remember, Cibola led 10-7 at that point. It made it 10-9 with the safety. And we thought La Cueva might capitalize on the short kick, but they didn't, I don't think. They fumbled here. You remember Mikey Garcia, because you said the cornerback played it real well.
And he played it and he got the ball.
Also got the recovery. They love the slant pattern. This is a fumble, though, by Spalding. There's Harder again, forcing the fumble. Dirk Harder, number 25. He was almost our Jackson Compaction player of the game, and this was a dangerous throw. He threw across the side of the field, but it was a great interception, Roger, by Cabral.
It was.
I believe that's Cabral. No, it wasn't. I can't remember who it was, but it was just a great interception. It was a one-hand interception, put La Cueva at their own 1-yard line. They got out of that, though. And here's another pass, I believe, to Thomas. No, that was intercepted. Yep. So they threw 2 interceptions as well. There's Mikey Garcia with the interception. We'll watch this play to Thomas. Thomas, that was a good tackle, but I think that on one of these plays, he's going to score on a long touchdown pass. There's Thomas in the middle of the field, and I believe he had 7 grabs for over 100 yards easy, 3 touchdowns. Our Jackson Compaction player of the game. We saw him run that slant. The way he set up, bam, bam, and then cut. He runs routes very, very well.
Inside screen.
They love to run that. There's Jerome Benavides, who didn't get a lot of action. The senior wide receiver didn't see a lot of action that game. And at that point, it's 24-10. And Cibola's still in it at this point. And Chavez, he's going to take a big hit, I believe, from Deshaun Lowry. He never saw Deshaun. He laid it on the ground, and he fumbled there. Boy, that was a big hit by Deshaun Lowry.
It was.
I don't think we saw Chavez the rest of the game from there. Look at this catch by Thomas. Look at the catch and then the
Yep.
run. This kid here is special. The junior wide receiver, remember Connor O'Toole was out for La Cueva. So the final score there, La Cueva 31, Cibola 10.
I think Cibola, once they eliminate mistakes, once they eliminate get the second half, they'll prove to themselves that they can compete with these bigger teams. Because we're talking La Cueva, last year's champion. And
I think I just think the talent took over in the second half. I think you're right.
Completely different team.
Right. Cibola's got receivers Harkness, Benavides, Spalding, Mikey Garcia, Steven Barella might return this week. I think they've got some talent, but can they play with the Clevelands, Volcanoes, and Rio Ranchos? That's the question. In
Yeah,
that
if they
district.
clean things up, they'll win more games.
Yeah, I really like the talent they have on that squad. Go ahead, Alden. Got some Cleveland versus Mayfield. Cleveland 35, El Dorado 10, and big game for Dorian Lewis. He had 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the senior who had the ACL injury seems to be finding his way, Roger.
That young man's going to have a lot of offers.
There's a touchdown to one of the Cleveland wide receivers from the quarterback, Davidson.
Coach Ridenhour's got one of the top programs in the state.
There's no doubt.
Great coaching staff, great talent, awesome facilities. What do you want?
Look at the sportsmanship by Lewis.
Yeah, that's
picking the
cool.
guy up after that was awesome sportsmanship by Dorian Lewis. It really was.
It was.
There's another touchdown, and he ran over a Mayfield tackler there. Here's a score by Mayfield. And they hung in there. But, man, when you're at Lightning Bolt Stadium, how much of an advantage for the Storm is it having that home field?
Yeah, their winning percentage is huge there.
Yes.
They don't lose there hardly at all.
There's, I think, Lewis's second touchdown. And this is one of their backup running backs. I saw this. That was a good cutback there. It's one of their backup running backs for the Storm. So Cleveland 35, El Dorado 10. The Storm, after they hit a little bump in the road against El Paso Franklin, they got it taken to them pretty good.
Yep.
They've got 2 successive big wins at Lightning Bolt Stadium. Go ahead, Alden.
All right, we got Volcano versus Manzana.
Big win here, our My 50 game of the week. And that's the backup quarterback, Sanchez. Diego Pavia, the starter for Volcano Vista, Chad Wallen says he should return this week. They've got a bye. They play San Diego 2
but
weeks.
didn't this backup have like a phenomenal
They played
game?
awesome. Threw across his body there, but it worked.
Tell you what, the Hawks are for real this year.
No, they really are.
This is the year of the Hawk. It sure seems that way.
And again, they've got the bye, so I think giving Pavia 2 more weeks with that ankle, Roger, should really help. And Jason Melfi's a good quarterback for Monzano. They just really got after him. They really did. He's an excellent quarterback, but sometimes you're up against the juggernaut. What a throw there by Sanchez to one of the Volcano Vista receivers. Jace Melfi fumbling there.
Nice.
Volcano Vista picking it up.
Read option.
And Monzano forced a turnover there, and I don't know if that's a scoop and score.
It does. It looks like it.
Yeah, Monzano scores on a turnover there, so good defense there by the Monarchs. And they don't have the horses they've had in the past because they've had some pretty good teams.
Great protection there.
And look at the yards after the catch, the yak yards, wow.
Beautiful moves there. Outstanding vision in
And
the
a couple
field.
of those Monarchs finally, no, they didn't catch him. What a play there. Man, a couple of the Monarch defenders I thought might run him down. Jason Melfi throwing an interception, and the Hawks played that well, though. They really did.
Yeah, it's tough to throw on the run like that, too. You know, it's a short throw.
Another touchdown here by Volcano Vista. Boy, what a cutback that was in the open field. You mentioned they just have it, offense and defense, top to bottom. They're very good.
I've been waiting for this Hawk team for many years, to be honest with you. I've watched them over the years and always felt like a little bit like Cibola. If they cut out the penalties, if they get more discipline, they're going to win a lot of games. Because both programs have a lot of talent, a lot of numbers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So at that point, 53-7.
Great catch.
What a catch.
Wow.
Tell you what, Jace Melfi doesn't give up. He doesn't give up, and they're overmatched for sure, but Monarchs scoring here. Great work by our production guys and by our director, Alden Ioane.
That's a great shot.
That sure is. That was our My 50 game of the week, and Volcano Vista with a big win. They've got a bye, and then they'll play Sandia. And as Chad Wallen said, hopefully Diego Pavia will be back for that game. Go ahead, Alden.
Lastly, we got the Metro Volleyball Championship, La Cueva versus Sandia.
This was an excellent match. Sebastian Noel did a fabulous job. Sandia and La Cueva, whenever they get together in volleyball, and McIntosh, I can't remember her first name for La Cueva, just had an incredible match. A lot of blocks, a lot of kills. La Cueva's defense at the net was very good. Very good. And Sandia and La Cueva, like I said, when they get together, man, in volleyball.
Yeah, it's a big rivalry. Of course, it's at Del Norte's court there.
Yeah, the Metro Championship. I thought
That's
I saw
it.
Journal writer James Yotis over there on the side.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah,
That's
getting his notes in there.
Just don't bring up the Dolphins to him right now.
Yeah, they're struggling. But look, this was, as I mentioned, just a very, very good match. La Cueva will come away with the championship here at the Metro tournament.
And hats off to La Cueva. They just seem to win. You know?
Oh, you see that kill? Gosh. Wow. McIntosh, as I mentioned. And when you see the setting and the defense, and there it is, La Cueva, the Metro champions of 2019. And we don't have the rankings today. Normally we do. We could have put where they're ranked. I didn't get them from Manny Lucero, but they've got the trophy as far as the Metro Volleyball Champions again. I believe they won it last year. Coach Archibek does a great job over there. Let's take a break, and we'll be back for more Lobo Breakdown after these messages on the Sports Desk.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all, or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger that's created from The world-famous Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted. A burger that's created from certified Angus beef, sinfully cooked to juicy perfection, and garnished with New Mexico's Hatch green chili. Tempt your taste buds with mouth-watering fresh ingredients.
Cut! We're gonna need another Laguna Burger. Try the irresistible, world-famous Laguna Burger. Visit thelagunaburger.com. It's fresh with a kick. Take 32.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
ABQ ER and Hospital is changing the way you see ER in Albuquerque. We promise to see each patient within 10 minutes of arrival. ABQ ER and Hospital is now offering $25 school physicals, with 100% of proceeds donated back to the schools.
Is this my car? State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up!
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with Roger Holian, ProView color analyst, also writes for the Mountain Wire. Roger, Lobo Aggie Week. I'll tell you, when that comes up, I'm stoked. Although I can't be there, I'm a Mustang this week for the Western New Mexico. You know what? I'm a homer for the Mustangs. I didn't go to college there, but I want them to win. But of course I'll be kind of keeping an eye, what's going on. My son will let me know with in-game reports, I'm sure, because I hate to be blinded, and thank God we have the technology that we do. Let's take a look at highlight from last year's game at Las Cruces. Lobos prevailing there, and Alden Iowani will get it up for us.
Of course, this is last year.
Owens, Vigilant, Schuler, and Davis.
Mari Davis, who's still with the Lobos, coming in on the read option there. Of course, this is down in Cruces. Lobos with their white, cherry and white away uniforms.
The helmet as well.
Crimson home uniforms for the Aggies. There you go. Read option, that's all that is. There we go. Another read option. Lobos offensive line. You see Teton Salties, number 50, who's still on the right side. Of course, there's a few different players this year, but a lot of players still with the program. It's always a good matchup. You can see how many fans that are there. Nice. It's all the big bubbas down there.
Right. Another short touchdown. Here's some Aggie highlights. Or no, another pick there for the Lobos.
Yeah, jumped the route there. See the Lobos with the big play. Love those helmets.
Close game, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Close game till the end.
17-14 right there.
Yeah.
Second quarter, 4:16 left before the half. Of course, the Lobos red zone offense. There you go, read option again.
That's Davis again, right?
Yeah.
Amari Davis?
I believe it is.
No, that's 21.
No. That's Owens.
Terrell.
Owens for
Terrell
the
Owens.
slasher. Yeah, Terrell. He was tough. Davis is a little bit thicker.
Yes, you're right, especially around the legs.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that play. Beautiful play. Lobos go up 28-17. This is the fourth quarter, of course. You start seeing a 34-17. Lobos start extending their lead, running a three-man rush. Oh, another pick.
Another pick six.
Crossing route. Safety came up.
This was getting a little hairy.
Out.
This was, they were starting to make a comeback, and I thought when we made the interception there, I say Lobos, I thought that gave the Lobos a little bit of a breathing room there, because it was getting a little dicey there.
It was. You see, that was probably a poor choice on the throw crossing route. Guy jumped the route, takes it in for the pick six, and Lobos are looking good. Of course, the Lobos go up to win the game 45-25. It's always, it seems like it's always a high-scoring game. I don't know if it'll be that way this year. Obviously, you can't tell. But it'll be interesting because both teams have to really readjust their game. You think about it. Of course, Aggie coach, fantastic guy, by the way.
Doug Martin.
Doug Martin is a great
They won
guy.
a bowl game a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they won a bowl game.
That was huge. That was really big for them.
But the programs aren't at a point. One's a 119th in NCAA, one's 163rd, and FBS teams, FCS teams. When you're ranked that low, you don't have enough tradition. You don't have enough bodies to come back, so you're always constantly rebuilding. So hats off to Coach Davey for the success he's had with the Lobos, 9-4. Of course, the last 2 years have been 3-8. But it's hard to repeat that. It really is, because in many ways, you have new staff, you have new players. It's not like a program that can consistently get 3-star athletes. And it's interesting because I had a conversation with Rocky Long years ago when he got hired. I said, and I was just kind of being funny, but I said, you really got to love the recruiting there in San Diego. And he's like, well, yeah. He said something else. He goes, I'm not going to say what he said on camera, but he goes, it's nice. I'm going to rephrase it.
Right.
But 6 months before I signed a kid, the Pac-12 comes and they steal him from us.
Right.
But it is. So think about that for a moment. In San Diego, they've got millions of athletes. New Mexico, it's a challenge because we have 1.8 million people in the entire state. So these coaches have a challenge to bring in the type of quality athletes. And I know it's easy for people to stand and look back and say, man, look at it, man, we're nowhere near the Alabamas, nowhere near these top tier teams. Well, I don't know. I beg to differ in some aspects because it takes years to rebuild a program, if you think about it. And the best example I have is Rocky Long, because I watched how he's done in San Diego State. He's got quality athletes, he's put together a great staff, but it's taken years to build that program. And I mean, you're only as good as your last win. So hopefully both the Aggies and the Lobos can recover and start playing some ball. It's going to be a tough year because both of them have tough games coming up. Liberty, the Aggies
That's going to be tough. That's next week.
Yeah, the Aggies play Liberty, which is going to be interesting. They play the Lobos. No, excuse me. They play the Lobos and then they play Fresno State, and that's tough. And then Liberty the next week. Of course, the Lobos have Air Force. You know, we got Colorado State, Nevada, Utah State. It's going to be tough. Every win is going to be tough, but it can be done.
Well, I wanted to ask you this. Okay, so they talked about the quarterbacking situation for the New Mexico Lobos. Sherion Jones started. He struggled. He threw 3 interceptions. Tavaka Tuioti came in. He's rusty, 6 of 13, 139 yards, I believe. But this week they say it's Tuiota. He's going to be the starter, and I'm not surprised. I think Sherion Jones, the one pick was tipped. He probably shouldn't have thrown it anyways. Pick 6, right? And it's easy for us to say. I'm not out there. He made the throw. I think he has the, he reads the running game probably better than Tavaka Tuioti does. He's probably better with his legs. Brand Hughes, we haven't heard anything more. He's got a bruised shoulder. We don't know if he needs surgery. He had some good moments against Sam Houston State. But I think, and I had former Lobo Daryl Chestnut on a couple weeks ago as my guest, and he thinks Tavaka Tuioti is the best option at quarterback for New Mexico. I think he is too. Here's a chance, though, for him Saturday to get some playing time, be consistent, and stay on the field. He's had a problem staying healthy. But I think with the triple option, you and I have talked about that, when the quarterback made a lot of those pitches, they're exposed to those defensive ends, and Lamar Jordan got hurt, Cole Gauchi got hurt, Tavaka Tuioti got hurt. I mean, so I think if he stays healthy, and I think they've got talent at receiver. I think they've got talented running backs. The offensive line hasn't gotten the push that we thought they would. Against Notre Dame, you can understand that. Yeah. Here's their chance to establish physicality and dominate the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you know what? Be careful how I word this because I like all these athletes. And if I was a coach looking at pure numbers and competition, Sherion Jones has been a turnover machine. He's turned the ball over last year a lot, and I had an interview with him. He was going to try and correct that, and his defense, the first one was a tip.
Mm-hmm. The first one against Notre Dame.
But I heard Coach Davey make a statement that kind of caught me off guard. It kind of made me whoa, and he gave a percentage when Tavaka is on the field. The Lobos win such a higher percentage of the games than when he's off the field.
Coach Davey said this to you.
Yeah, no, not to me. I heard him in an interview.
Okay, that's okay. Keep going.
And I was just listening to him. I pick up on all these things. Coach Davey knows football. He's been around a long time. They look at numbers. It's all about numbers. I watched that game, and I really felt, I'm sure, and I love Coach Daly. He's offense coordinator. Joe Daly. He's a great guy from Liberty. You know how it is when you coach, and I haven't coached at his level. I've coached in high school. But I'm thinking to myself, after the first 2 picks, and not in that setting,
right,
I can't afford that.
Right.
But that being said, who's he going to put out there? Of course, they have Trey Hall.
They like him.
Trey Hall's he's an athlete, and he's kind of like your 4th stringer. But I don't want to say 4th stringer. He's just a younger guy. But I'm going to go with Tavaka. I got to have a guy that can run the option. And one thing I noticed in that we run under Davey, under Bob DeBus, who's I think he's at Georgia Tech now, and he's putting numbers up.
Former offensive coordinator.
Yeah, they put the numbers up, but they ran a true option out of the. It wasn't a triple option. They ran it out of the shotgun, or what's it called? With the running back's 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I can't think of it now.
Not the pistol. That's not the pistol.
Yeah, it was very much like
pistol.
The pistol. Excuse me. Thank you. It was the pistol. It was more of a pistol. They had tight ends. When the Lobos ran the option against Notre Dame, a few times he did not read it properly. The option is supposed to be an option. In other words, that defensive tackle comes and crashes down on that running back, the quarterback pulls and runs. And you see a lot of the NFLs running that. Mitch Trubisky runs it, and you have to have a quarterback that can take hits.
Dak Prescott had a beautiful quarterback read on Sunday. Keep going.
You know why the NFL runs it? Because it works.
Right.
But if you're constantly giving on the dive, and you're not a threat as a quarterback. That quarterback has to pull that ball, because a lot of times you've got receivers downfield, there's a lot of space. He's got a lot of yards to run, and I felt like the Lobos didn't do that against Notre Dame. Or the games I've seen, even against, Sam Houston State, I saw a lot of that, where the quarterback did not pull. It's not an option if you don't pull. You've got to keep that defense safe.
Right.
And
keep
if they do that,
keep them honest, right?
And Tabaka is, he's not that big of a guy, but he's a leader. The guy can throw. He's very athletic. He's got quick feet, and he makes good decisions. And if you saw it against Wisconsin, when they played against Wisconsin, that first series, he drove the ball against Wisconsin like 70 yards, and the Lobos scored.
Very impressive.
And that, it's unfortunate he got hurt because the Lobos had a different year, but I think Tui is the guy to go to against. And if I was an Aggie watching, I'm like, oh man, here comes it. He's really solid. He gives the Lobos a better option to win games, I believe. And I think he's got the best leadership from the quarterbacks I've seen so far.
Okay, and I think that's important because, when you struggle, and we've said this, and they said this, Joe Daly said it, I'm sure Bob Davies said it, you need consistency with your quarterback play, right? And you need somebody that's in there consistently. We saw Tavaka Tuioti has been hurt in each of the last 2 seasons. They need him out there. There's no doubt about it. You just mentioned, Coach Davies said that we win X amount of percentage when he's out there more than we do when he's not. So I think for the rest of the season, and we'll talk about this in the last segment about what it takes to get 6, right? And even the game against Sam Houston State, and we said this, they won the game. It's hard to get any wins. It's hard to win. People, take it for granted with Alabama, Clemson, all these powers, right? And they win. They've got the recruiting. They've got the numbers. They've got the budget. They've got it all. We don't have that here. That's for sure.
So, and I've said this for years. It's so true. If you're not as talented as the other team, you have to be smart and not turn the ball over. If you watch Bob Davie teams when he first arrived, I'm just saying, and I'm not being critical, I'm just saying that they did not turn the ball over very much. And they were more disciplined in that area. Turning the ball over kills your momentum. And you saw that especially in a hostile environment. When you saw Tui take the ball 70 yards against Wisconsin, did you hear the crowd?
Dead silent.
Hear this New Mexico team, I don't even think we're from the United States,
Right.
Just drove 70 yards on our top 10 team. And that's what it does.
Turnovers are big.
So you got to play smart. If you're going to win on the road, you got to play smart if you're going to win games.
We'll take a short break and come back with one more segment on the Sports Desk.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am.
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
To win the race, I can't even explain how, in fact, I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. No matter where you go, you're an Indy 500 winner. The only way to be successful in racing is to stay on top of the technical edge, and we've done that with our dealership. So a lot of the technology in our service department and sales processes, everything is the very latest. That gives you an edge. That's being competitive in the car business. You can take it any way you want, but that's the truth.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas service. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or DreamStyleRemodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk, live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with Roger Holian, ProView color analyst, also writes for the Mountain Wire. I'm also a very good friend of mine. Roger, you know, it's been a great segment because anytime we talk Lobos Aggies, man, you know, I was going to have my gear at the stadium, man. I mean, oh, gosh. I remember a former Aggie basketball player, Lou Richardson, passed away. Good guy. Gosh, I love Lou. William Benjamin, the head coach at Las Cruces. Yep. Him and I, he sends me these Aggie memes all the time. I'm like,
he's a good
Coach,
guy. He's a good
Coach,
guy.
Man, you know, he makes me laugh because he knows I can't stand the Aggies. But he's one of my favorite Aggies.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you what, that is William Benjamin. That is one good coach. He was one great Aggie. And I'll tell you one thing about Will, an even better guy. I love Will to death.
Yeah,
Lou Richardson would come into my center when I was a director at Cesar Chavez, and he'd have the Aggie shorts on. And when I'd see him, I'd be like, Lou, you're the only dude I'd let come in here wearing those. We'd laugh. You know, so rest in peace, Lou Richardson, who was so wonderful. You would have loved Lou. Louis Richardson was one of the best human beings you'd ever meet.
It's funny you say that because I have a friend, great guy, Vince Casada, and runs a carpet cleaning place. His boy is the second string, Vince Casada from Hope.
Yeah, what a leg.
He walked on.
What a leg.
Yeah, he's playing with the Aggies now. So they're trying to talk my daughter Desi into Chris Desi's Grand Canyon. She's family friends with all their kids, and putting an Aggie shirt on, right? So, and I thought it was interesting because you can't control your kids when they're in a public setting. She told them, do you understand who my dad is? And my brother played. So her brother played for the Lobos with her sister was a cheerleader for the Lobos, and her dad was the chaplain for the Lobos. So she goes, Dad, I don't know if I could put an Aggie. And no disrespect, because
the Aggies got much love for the Crimson and White. Just a rivalry, right?
They actually have awesome colors.
Yes,
and you know what?
Yeah.
I know this is. When I watch them playing on national games, I root for the Aggies.
Yes.
Because it's New Mexico.
When they played in that bowl game, I mean, I was excited for them. I was.
Oh, yeah.
Mario Menzies has done a great job down there.
Doubt.
A great job doing a lot with not very, very much.
Yes.
He's done a great job. So let's make sure we give him a shout out. Roger, I wanted to ask you about your work writing for the Mountain Wire. So really excited for you. Because, you know, you get a press pass, you get to go up there and hang out with the press people, you get to go to the press conferences. But talk to us a little bit about how that came about.
I was just reading the Mountain West Wire. You can look up mountainwestwire.com. And I thought, I saw all these different teams represented. So I sent Jeremy Moss, who's my boss there, an email saying, who's covering New Mexico? You know, like I don't see hardly any write-ups about New Mexico. We got mentioned, but there wasn't a specific writer. And he said, we actually need somebody. Would you be interested? And I said, sure, why not? He goes, all right, do me a favor, write a wrap-up of last year's season. So I wrote a wrap-up, and of course I was very careful and grammatically and spelling and all that.
Punctuation.
Yeah, but you know, and so I sent it to him. And he goes, "Wow, you have a firm grasp of this team. We'd love to have you." And the rest has been history.
Man, that is so awesome.
And then what was cool is I got to do a all-time Lobo top 20, top 1 and 2 players to the Lobos for the Mountain West, not the WAC, because that's, you know, going back to Francione. And that was tough. I had to get a lot of numbers, and there was a lot of work involved in that. And with me, it was kind of challenging because I knew most of the players personally.
Right.
And I didn't want to hurt any feelings. And you know, not everybody can be on the first and second team.
I can imagine how that might have gone.
Oh, it didn't. I mean, you had one player who was an All-American for 1 year, but a kicker, and then you had another player who was just flat out there many more years and won clutch games, and he was the first team. Of course, it was the best defensive player. Obviously, that's an easy pick, Brian Urlacher. Best offensive player, Dontrell Moore.
Right.
Best coach, that was easy because Rocky Long's been the longest, and Bob Davies actually a few years behind him.
Think about that for a second. Keep going. I mean, think about that. That's people
Yeah,
are gonna
people,
when you hear that, they're gonna like freeze and like.
He's been
wow.
eight going on 9 years. Rocky was here 11 years.
Because most coaches don't last that long here. Keep going.
And you know what he told me? I'm very fortunate to be coaching. And Bob Davie told me that personally. And so he was very grateful to be coaching, because in most programs, top programs, you lose 2-3 games, you're out. And it's kind of sad, because what happens is, and let me get to this. This is interesting. We're talking about this. One of the things I've noticed I got to see Francione, his business-like way of working things. I got to see Rocky Long. I got to see a little bit of Bob Davie. I was more in the in workings with Rocky Long, but every coach would come in and start their new traditions. But a lot of times they would eliminate the old traditions that made that program great. I saw that with Mike Loxley, because I was with Mike Loxley for 2 years. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if a coach came here and built upon the traditions of the old coach, because we don't have enough traditions here.
Exactly.
And we'd
Football
be more
traditions, right.
Football traditions. And every alumni out there is probably going, amen. They would slide me high five, because I've been told that by alumni. It's like they always start a brand new thing. You can have your own personnel, but keep the traditions that made you well. And, so it's been a fun ride, the Mountain West Wire. If you want to look it up, look up mountainwestwire.com and just look under football. I'm covering New Mexico Lobo football. There's a gentleman by the name of Eric Sanchez. I don't know him personally, but he's covering the Coach Weir in basketball.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
great.
So basketball is covered. And they're always looking for new writers, not for football, because they already got that covered.
You already got that.
Yeah, and probably baseball, but it's been expanding, and they've got top advertising. Top advertising revenue. So it's been fun, So get to sit alongside my good friends. Greg Archuleta used to be the beat writer for the Lobos. Steve Virgin now, and Steve.
Who we hope to have on next week here on the Sports Desk.
Steve's a great guy, awesome guy. Rick Wright, all these guys, and I saw Galletti last week. So interesting. I'm trying to put a positive spin on the Lobo thing, because I think so many people are kind of tired of the negativity, and for obvious reasons. In the last couple of years, it's been really tough for UNM athletically in the athletic department. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I told my wife, I'm gonna write something that's positive, honorable stories that people appreciate reading, because we're not TMZ. We're here to promote these young athletes and help them be successful.
Not there for the shock moments, and I think one of the things is I write for Enchantment Sports as well. And I've learned so much from Mark Smith about punctuations, and I've gotten, progressively better. I'll never be what I consider a journalist, but some of those stories, like the one I wrote about Highland, the one I wrote about Bubba Jennings, Bubba Jennings' story that I wrote last spring, gosh, that was like 2 weeks worth of work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I had to cut some people out of that story because it was just too much. Yeah. I had my wife and my son looking at it, and I think by the time it was out, everybody was, you looked at it too much, but it turned out pretty well. I was very proud of that article. But I
think it was good.
Yeah, I think we got about a minute left. Roger, let's wrap it up. Now, you're not a prediction guy, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. Lobos Aggies this Saturday. Who wins?
Lobos, I think.
I
think. Let's say. Well, if you look at last year, 45-25. I think it's going to be in the 30s. I think it'd be let's say 35-21 Lobos.
Hey, you know what? I had 34-21, so we're right there at the same place. Lobos win. Roger Holian, sure appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Writer for the Mountain Wire.
Mountain West Wire.
Mountain West Wire. Also ProView color analyst. Thanks so much for being our special guest. For producer Alden Iowani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll be back next week on the Sports Desk.
Laguna Burger is beautifully handcrafted.